Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are late, but it's Lornt. It's kind of a traditional thing, so let's be late. We're always late. There's always a technical issue or something, and it's not Shin's fault this time. Um, but anyway, happy
Never is
launch
it?
to everybody. We thought we would just kind of do what people have been doing for far too much on the internet over the last few years, and that's just randomly having no specific topic to cover, only Lorne, a particular person, even though we kind of have discussed everything at length about someone who isn't that interesting, hundreds of hours of conversation, and we're still yapping about him. So it's like, how much can we get out of him? We've covered every possible angle. Um, let's see where this goes, shall we? You wrote some notes down, Shin, didn't you? It was even I called you the other day about something completely
Yeah,
different, and you were telling me about your notes. They were like hypothetical
yeah.
scenarios.
I was saying, we've been at this so long, right? And I now we're in a situation where we presume he's not being catfished now. At least we don't know. We can always hope, but probably not. Um, and I'm thinking now's the time we can start making conclusions. I think, at least I can.
About
You
what?
know, on a lot of issues. Yeah, I think we could start. If this was a psychological evaluation, it would be in the conclusions section. So because there's so much. When I hear the calls now, it's almost like okay, uh, yeah, I've heard. I'm not learning anything anymore. And sometimes I do. Rare situation because I've been so inundating myself with this guy for
Who
years.
hasn't?
Yeah, I know. But I think also, we rarely do any interaction with the audience. So if the audience has got things to say, they can jump in as well. But if I were to start throwing out my thoughts right now, Andrew, they would be disconnected and whatnot. So I kind of want to get on a subject, and I'll somehow pigeonhole them in. So I don't know.
Well, as a matter of fact, LL Fool J has a legal question for you. They haven't posted it, but I'm asking for it. So,
Where is that? Let's see. Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, you guys
tell
can
us what
fire
that
away.
is.
You can ask questions.
Maybe it's Lorne. Lorne's like trying. He's set up a fake account. He's trying to get out of his next predicament. Maybe Shin can help me. He was the guy. He was the suave-looking guy at my court case. He'll know what to do. I'll message him.
Well, the thing about this, Lawrence case is so unusual, at least with anything that I've experienced. I've never seen somebody have so many chances before who hasn't been violated. I mean, he violates his probation every day on a daily basis, and more importantly,
But what's he
probation
doing
knows
now,
that.
though? What's he doing to violate his probation now? As far
I
as we
don't.
know, because he
Here's the
stopped
thing.
drinking, didn't he?
Well, here's the thing. One of the things I was thinking about was we know Lauren to a certain extent, but we don't really know what his day to day life is like, and we start to get a
I think
peek
we have
in.
a pretty good idea.
Well, no, because we got surprised a few times.
Well, how could you not
Going
be
to
with that
Walmart.
guy?
His whether he's still. I'm mainly talking about his predatory activities. I assumed he was in check. But then I hear about the Walmart girl. The job offers, and then I hear. Then you hear the story about uh, the sex worker who came over to rent the. Let's call it what it is. It's a storage bin, whatever it is, uh, um, storage container, and he released some information out of that experience, and that is that she saw him following him around. I mean, that stuff kind of surprised me. So
No, you're right there, actually, and even there is still surprising things that we learn about him. The thing that surprised me, which is bizarre, really, I almost feel stupid every time learn something about him. Maybe it's because I try and give him the benefit of the doubt every time, which is fucking stupid. But when we found out he'd been stalking women at Walmart, was it Walmart? Where they had like
Walmart,
his picture up
yeah,
and he was basically asking women for jobs. Now, in retrospect, you look at it and that's more bashful and stupid. It is predatory behavior because he's proposing to the attractive girl, but consciously I don't think he's aware what he's doing. However, that surprised me. Even I didn't think he was that stupid, which is,
Yeah.
even as I'm saying that, I'm stupid for saying it. Did you, Tiffany, you very rarely are caught off guard by Lorne's behaviour. Would you have envisioned him doing that kind of thing?
I've gotten to the point where nothing surprises me. So it doesn't surprise me that he would propose something like that to a girl at Walmart who's far younger than he is. Yeah, nothing surprises me at all. Of course, he's doing it in a predatory way because he's not going to ask a guy. He would never ask a guy to do that. So, think about what he's asking this person to do. He's asking that person to have something to do with his website, whether that's posting things to it or running. Oh, sure, absolutely. But that's part of the proposal is working with a website. What would make him think that somebody who's working at Walmart in a cashier role is going to be doing that type of work?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing except that this is a female that he wants to talk to.
Qualified. Boom, right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's not walking into a place that, even does tech support or anything like that, or looking in that type of, an area for somebody to help. He wasn't even in the electronics area. Not to say that somebody working there is going to know that part, but he's just going to a general employee.
Who he's probably purchasing the condoms from, he's got that thing going for him too. But again, I'm not saying he surprised me with his predatory nature. I'm saying he surprised me with his courage to do that. I didn't think that he would have that kind of security in himself.
I don't see it as courage, though. I see it as stupidity. In order to have courage, one's almost got to have confidence. I don't see it like that. I just see it like he's acting on instinct. He sees an attractive girl. He's gonna immediately go to the first thing that his brain suggests is want to make some money without even just. That's the type of thing that people like him do, and that's why he's so closely monitored, because he is a predator. But like we've always said, he hasn't got a lot in his kind of repertoire to attract these people, which is very good. On a slightly. Huh?
I just want to stop you on your point about he doesn't have a lot. What he does is, he manages to get certain props to help him with his predator behavior, like the dogs, for instance. I think his house, his land that he owns, is another predator prop that he uses. Mm-hmm. What would he use if he didn't have that? How could he lure anybody to him if he didn't have that? Again, it would be the dogs or wherever he is under a bridge, who knows, but that's not going to work either. So it's
his butt.
His butt, yes.
I mean, he seems to think that that's some kind of draw.
Well, that's where his hubris comes from. That's where he thinks he has something to offer somebody.
You take that away. My butt.
Sorry,
No. Sorry. Amanda James has not said anything yet. Are you able to recite your anecdote from yesterday if it doesn't reveal too much?
Oh yeah, I can. I forgot about that. On my way to work, I was listening to the chef recall, and I turned it off just as I got into work. I took off my headphones and got to work. And then the first person that I interacted with that day, they told me their name, and they gave me the last name first, and they said chef. And I'm like, all right, what's the first name? Their name was Jeff Chef. And I almost burst out laughing.
I can't believe this actually happened.
I showed you the proof.
I know, but I still can't believe it. I'm not convinced you've not totally tried to fool me, created it on your computer.
No, it was real. And I just had this huge smile on my face like an idiot. because I just was listening to the call, so I had Cotton Hall Jeffrey in my head, just swimming all around in there. All his great quotes about Jeffrey. That's what I should have said. Bonjour.
Oh, Jeffrey's actually here. I wonder if Jeffrey actually believes it.
Was Chef his title or his name?
No, his last name was Chef.
Oh, okay.
It was, yeah. It was spelled a little bit differently. It was spelled SCH.
No, it wasn't. It was spelled exactly the same. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
What are the odds? I can't believe that you. I don't think you actually told me you was listening to it on the way to work. I'm glad you didn't tell me, because I wouldn't have been able to handle that. I don't think I'd have survived that sort of revelation.
Yeah, I was. That's what. It was crazy. It was stuck. I thought they were joking at first but then, I had like a split second of, they're fucking with me. They're joking. But then I realized, of course, they're not joking. And why would they be joking? They don't know who the fuck Jeffrey is. Only I do. Only we do.
Only you does, within about a 40-mile radius of where you are.
Right. It's just me. Nobody else was in on this joke. So I had to really hold it together so I didn't laugh at their name.
And you know what? That Jeffrey call, when you told me that, I had to listen to some of the call, and I just skipped. What's great about that call is he has a kind of baseline level of rage that never deviates that much. But at the beginning of the call, where the robot goes, "I was talking to Jeffrey" or something, and he goes, "Oh, goody." It's so funny. It's like he's trying to and what happens from that point on is his rage just slowly builds up to about a number 9.5, and it stays there for the whole call. Can't hold Jeffrey. It's like, and then he proposes at the end of it. It's like, I didn't see that one coming.
You better be saying yes soon. Was that call? I don't even know.
It was that call, yes. You better be saying yes pretty fucking soon. Oh dear, oh dear. Who would have thought we could get that level of entertainment from this guy? Just imagine, right, if there's any lornographers that are kind of around, that are still around, that were around back in the day when we had none of this catfishing. Ember had not even spoke to him. And we were like hungry for any form of information about him. We had no idea. It was just, I used to picture him sat in his room looking on YouTube, seething with rage at all these people. And there was a fascination with this character's like, is this a real person that wrote that chat log? It's like, I wonder what he does, with his day-to-day life. How does he... Just simple things. To think that we'd have all this and it doesn't disappoint. The level of sort of entertainment that we've got from it, and all the revelations and all the crazy things that he puts up with, and it's crazy.
He thinks that the biggest thing he's missing out is his ability to monitor what people are saying about him on the internet. It's really weird. You remember Judge Woodcock was very clear with him.
How could I forget Judge Woodcock?
If you don't pay attention to that, it won't bother you. It won't hurt you. But it looks like he just wants to go head dive into it. It kind of makes me wish he would get back on the internet and get into the comment sections on some of these things. It would be great.
That was something that we were going to do at some point. Look at the comments when he used to interact with people in the comments of his YouTube channel. That was like a dream come true when he was doing that. It's like, out of all the people that have ever used the internet, he's the person with the least amount of leeway to defend himself. Like, how on earth could he even begin? And he's arguing with people about his case, and you're just like, exactly what Judge Woodcock said. People love the kids. People are never going to forgive you, ever. Even if he made a complete admission and you saw it in his eyes, he'd be like, you know what, there'd be a majority. I don't know whether it'd be a majority, a huge amount of people that would happily see him dead. I know that sounds extreme, but there's people with such strong feelings about these types of things, and it's understandable. And he's trying to defend himself. But even worse than trying to defend himself, like, even if you're trying to defend yourself from the perspective of, I've served my time, leave me alone, it's like he never did anything wrong in the first place. It was all, the crazy stories that he came up with to defend himself. It was NBC's fault. He was going to turn round. He just wanted to befriend her, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, nobody was talking to her. Yeah. Yeah, he does.
There was something I wanted to ask you, Tiffany, and you can divulge as much information as you feel comfortable doing. Is if you could go back, and talk, like, would you talk to Lorne? No. If you could go back when you made the decision to fuck with him, just to fuck with him, which most people would, of course.
No.
No. I mean, would you like to expand on that at all?
I guess because I enjoy the discussion a lot more, so like having this type of a discussion, or when we're going over documents, I didn't get anything out of talking to him. It's like, if I could take it or leave it, then I would have left it and have other people do it.
Yeah. But what was your main motivation for doing it in the first place? Was it to, like, extract information, or were you not thinking as clearly as that? You were just going along with it.
Yeah, it was much more simple. It was just a crazy scenario where Lorne thinks that he's going to talk to the decoy, or thinks that the decoy's interested in him. And that's just pretty much where it started. There wasn't any type of a motivation to talk to him about Molly or anything serious. It just was, this is crazy. So I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, I think it's clear that he probably was more attracted to you than anyone. I think that, I was listening to a phone call. I can't remember what it was. He was with Winnie at the time, and you were involved as Winnie's big sister, or conservator. I don't remember what your role was. And he was talking about him and you have to talk. Him and you have to talk. And then you never responded to any of it. You didn't give him anything. And then he kept asking, probably about 6 times throughout that conversation, because it was continuing. Debbie, do you have my number? Debbie, do you have my number? Do you remember that, Tiffany?
I do.
And you heard that, right? Every time he said that, he asked that?
Of course, yeah.
And you made a conscious effort not to respond to that question, right? I assume.
Right.
Was it because you didn't want the existing Catfish to be, sidetracked, or was it because you just couldn't fathom having to have a discussion with this guy, one-to-one, one-on-one? I'm just curious.
I think it was just more about not answering him, just because.
Just okay. That's the third option, to trigger him a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Debbie character was there, I guess, to see what would happen. Because he's so desperately in love with Winnie, and was fighting so hard to be with her, that and at first, the sister was somebody that didn't want Winnie to be with Lorne at all, was basically going to do anything to keep them apart. And rightfully so.
That's logical, right? I mean, you're just playing the logic.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I think anybody would feel very strongly about their family member being involved with somebody like Lorne. And then after that, it was kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of took a turn.
Yeah. Well, once his sights are set on you, I guess you got no choice.
Yeah, I mean, I think he likes to keep his options open. So if he has any type of any kind of an opening with somebody, or he has the ability to speak to somebody, that's his move, is kind of what I've sensed, is that he'll want to talk to you alone.
Right.
So I think that's what he was trying to do. He's trying to be slick.
And
Before that, though, before Debbie became an option, because Debbie hated Lorne and treated him as he should be treated, and pointed out the fact that the relationship is abusive, when he's not going to be with you, all that. He hated Debbie, and he tried so hard to isolate Winnie from her sister by saying the cruelest, most horrible things. Do you remember, Tiff? He said that Debbie set it up for Winnie to get raped. He told Winnie
Mm,
that.
oh yeah, paid for
He,
it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She evilly plotted to get her sister raped so she could get Winnie's inheritance money every month, or some crazy bullshit. This
Mhm.
horrible stuff. He did the same thing when Winnie was in a coma and she couldn't speak to him. Victor would put her headphones in the hospital, and Lorne would talk to her. There's an entire phone call where all Lorne says over and over again is, "Your sister's an evil bitch. She's got her own agenda. She's got a fucked up agenda." He said it like 42 times. And he
Mhm.
was trying, poor Winnie, and I mean, the whole situation is insane and stupid, but if it were real, poor Winnie is in a coma. She cannot speak, or at least she's in a position where she can't speak in the hospital. And he's going to spend their time telling her, "Your sister's an evil bitch. She doesn't love you. She doesn't care about you. She just
Mhm.
wants your money." I don't think that's the right time to say that to somebody when they're suffering horribly in the hospital. But Lorne is so selfish. And if you're not on his side, then you can't be in the picture.
and you could turn him around pretty quickly too, Tiffany. All you had to do was say one possibly interpreted compliment or something to him, or flirtatious, and boom, he would change his tune on you in a second. You brought up last week when we were talking about the throuple call and the favorites call, and he was upset because I can't remember. I think it was the robot who asked uh, Casey to marry him, and he was upset about that. And
Mhm.
then and angry too, to a certain extent. And then when they started talking about sex, he just turned on a dime right there. He's able to do that. Take his suddenly disregard all the anger and all the reasons for it and everything else, just so he can make a connection. You know, but
Yeah.
his emotions are all over the place. I mean, they could change in a second.
Yeah, and nothing was more evident. I know we're going back a little bit to me, but like the early Ramona calls where he was always drunk. And I suppose obviously that exasperates it a bit with him being intoxicated, which in the later calls he isn't. He seems to have got a grip on that for whatever reason, whether he didn't have a choice legally. But I'm glad that we had all those calls where he wasn't drunk, because we wouldn't have got. Because we had drunk Lorne, got loads of that. Sober Lorne is also equally hilarious, just in just a different way, which is great. Can I ask, with regard to when you were speaking to him, someone asked a question, Tiffany. I think it was Nathan Garcia. How much did you have? Obviously, you didn't have your cell phone, thank God. I assumed there was some kind of communal number that he contacted. Was he? How stalkerish was he in his persistence? Do you know what I mean? Was he like message bum 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 bum? What was it like?
Yeah, it's all the time. Because
Yeah.
Lauren doesn't sleep, so he gets up really early, and he'll start messaging right away. So it's the same for everybody. He's constantly texting, and you can see him go through the cycle of his emotions. You know, when you don't answer him, it's pretty funny because it starts off really nice, I suppose, with pictures, and he just wants to talk about what he's doing, and he wants to know what you're doing too.
And what you're wearing.
Um,
Just gonna
what
say,
you're
does he
wearing,
ask you
yeah,
what color your
certainly.
your clothes are?
I don't recall that. I don't think he ever really did. But he does just want to. He wants to constantly be talking. So yeah, he would message all the time, and he'd want to talk all the time, but
He
he
was more
wasn't allowed
respectful
to.
to you, I think, out of all the Catfish. He was probably most respectful to you. Um,
Um, I mean, possibly. I think it just depends on maybe what's going on at the time or whatever. I'm not really sure.
so out
But I. Mhm.
so out of 10 calls, how many would you take? Say, or 20 calls. If
Um,
it's one out of 20, how many would
yeah,
you
I
ask?
mean, honestly, I don't know. that I know that it certainly wasn't every day. So he would be asking for it every day. That's what he wanted, but
Right.
he's not going to get that. There, Winnie could do that because
Right.
Winnie was her own show. So she would just call Lorne on, and it's like Lorne didn't necessarily have to be there except for to respond to what Winnie was doing. But Winnie could definitely entertain herself. She was and she was very funny.
Yeah.
So that was the one person that could talk to him all the time, and I think that that's why that was his favorite relationship.
That he
It's
says,
because they
yeah.
spent most time. Yeah, they spend the most time. I mean, pretty much for everyone else, he just gets disregarded at some point unless they want something.
That's what pisses him off the most, when people don't pick up his calls. That's what I.
Oh
That's
yeah,
what
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, because certainly the calls have to be recorded.
I,
So, you can't just answer. But
right.
he did pick up on that. Dan never answered, Debbie never answered, Emma doesn't answer,
He
nobody
said it in one of the
answers.
calls, didn't he?
Oh yeah, it would
Of
be
many
something that
calls.
yes, he would get pissed off about that a lot. And especially when he would be drunk, because he would go through everybody. He would just keep calling and calling and nobody would answer until we were ready to record. So, but yeah, he would be really upset about that. So, yeah, he knows. He knows what's going on.
I
And
don't
of course,
know.
you got your share of unsolicited photographs, right? Throughout
Oh yeah.
the time.
So
Oh
did I.
yeah.
Can you describe some of them? I mean, I'm just,
Well, I mean, it's pretty much everything you've seen it all, Shin, I'm sure.
What about his
But yeah,
literal?
he never sent his butthole. He never did. But at some point, he did get yelled at for sending his dick and everything, because he would be sending a picture of just something else, like a document or something, and his dick would have to be in it
always
somewhere
in
at the
it, right?
bottom. Always. It was so annoying. That irritated the shit out of me. even
It
more
gives you a
even
bug.
more than just
I
yeah
can't
even more
imagine why
than
you regret talking to Lorne. I just can't. It's just
right.
baffling to me.
I mean, even more than just getting a straight picture of his dick, having it be in every single picture is just a little bit was just annoying.
That's your definition of a pretext.
Well,
Whatever
and it
you,
was hidden. So it was like he's gonna force you to look at it whether you want to or not.
Whether
Is it
yeah,
like a game he was playing? Spot my dick, like where's Mr. Penis? Like.
he just wants to
right.
show it off all the time. He wants
No, he
he wants it to
doesn't.
be there. Yeah, he
Well,
does.
No,
he
you've
he
got no
told
evidence
Kayla
to suggest that at all.
he told Kayla that he's been told that his dick is better looking than most guys.
Yeah, he did say that.
On yesterday's anniversary.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's right.
Yeah.
So funny.
I got a question, I guess. I'm going to ask my question for Shin again. Where is Lorne getting the idea that the media can't be present with the cops? It has to be based on something he read in the jail library and misinterpreted. I actually read that case. I can't remember it exactly, but it was cited in his brief. And that had more to do with not in the act of an arrest, but being involved with a search warrant. The media was too close to it. I don't know if it had anything on point with Lorne's case. I mean, to a certain extent, there's an entrapment element to it, but that's not the issue in that case he was talking about with the media. I who knows? I think he probably scooped that from definitely
It was something about the
in
search of his truck, wasn't it? That's what he kept babbling on about.
yeah, we went through that too. I mean, if they're going to tow his truck, they have to do what they call an inventory search, which is get everything in there, have it put aside, have it checked off on an inventory list, let him know that so that nothing gets stolen. Just so it's all, and they find evidence from that most of the time. But they towed it back, and they could then execute a search warrant to do even more of a checkboard. That's when they usually take out panels and look in tires and stuff like that. That's not the case here, but that's just kind of double perfects the the condoms that were in there, the bracelet that was in there, probably driving directions that were in there. Um, who knows? Maybe he printed out a picture of Taylor. Who knows? But that was all, it was all on the up and up. There's no issue there. He consented to the search, number one, and they also got a warrant. So, they drove us. Yeah, that's right. They didn't tow. That poor cop. That cab of that truck must have smelled so bad.
Yeah.
Tiffany, can you read Logan W's question?
Logan W. Let's see.
You have to go
find
up a
it
little
first. Okay. Oh, let's see. Do you feel he wanted quote unquote Tiffany because she's everything he's not? Does he feel that the only way to elevate his life is vicariously through others? I think it's possible. I think it's possible that, he would love to be. I mean, look at all of the women that he was in love with. Ramona was very successful financially, beautiful, young. Winnie, I know, was a little wild. She was probably the outlier with everybody, but she did have money.
And she was hot, right?
Yeah, I think
Well,
eventually he did see that this was an active, meth user. Debbie as well, very attractive, young, put together, wealthy, successful. Jamie, she's beautiful.
He's had
she's
a good
also
catch of women as Lorne, hasn't he? How does he attract these women?
Yeah, well, they all seem to
Good
find
taste.
him. So he just has to sit there. They all come to him. But yeah, Jamie and then Casey again, So I think to a certain degree, Lorne wants to have somebody like that because he feels like that's going to give him some worth.
Absolutely.
He would love to strut around, with
Exactly.
a hot woman on his arm.
That's very common, isn't it? It's not just exclusive in Lorne. I think there's so many
No, of course it isn't.
men and women like that. It's a common fact of dating and the sort of the human mating sort of game, if you will, is that you're supposed to seek someone that's going to add something to your life. Any woman adds something to Lorne's life. That's the way he sees it.
Adds everything to Lorne's life.
Yeah, and also, we have to consider too that he's a chameleon. This is something that Amanda James and I were talking about. Is that he's a chameleon. So he's going to be whoever he believes that the other person wants. So with Winnie, he was more carefree. He could be vulgar with her. He would be drinking, and it was all good because she was the same. Then when it came to Debbie, she expected him to get his finances together. She expected him to get his teeth cleaned. So he went to the dentist.
Take care of the dogs.
Take care of the dogs, yeah, and to clean up his space and to pay Betty. So it's kind of like whoever has the expectation for him, he's gonna start to become that, and he'll try desperately to. So even like with Jamie, with the quitting of the smoking. Now we know he never actually did that, but he was pretending to. And so he was pretending that he actually did. So that's when you have the great Zoom call where he said, "Thanks a lot, Jamie. I think I'll have a cigarette," and he's so pompous and he kicks back with the cigarettes that just happened to be right there. Exactly. Ready to go. So yeah, he will absolutely mold himself into whoever he believes that you want him to be.
And I know people like that. Not so much anymore, but when I was younger, some guys would literally just become whatever the girl, like I know one guy, he was suddenly into rock music. Like, where did that come from? He starts seeing this kind of goth type person. Next minute, he's into all this music. It was very funny. But of course, Lorne being so immature, Can I ask Tiffany? I think I might have asked you this before on a stream, and like I said, if you don't feel comfortable, that's fine. But when you were talking to Lorne, do you think it overall affected you in any negative way? Or
I
do you think
think,
you had a good grip on it? I mean, you're a well put together person, but I don't mean that in any kind of demeaning way. But obviously, talking to people like Lorne isn't easy for anyone, I would imagine.
well, no, I mean, you're tapping the glass and touching the poop at the same time, Lorne is not somebody that I would ever have in my life. I despise him. I think he's a piece of shit. I think he wouldn't deserve my time other than to fuck with him. And so, as far as it impacting me negatively, I mean, to a certain extent, I guess, in the fact that I was feeling angry because I would get really angry with Lorne.
Oh yeah.
I think there's recorded evidence of that somewhere, but I would get really angry, and I'm doing that to myself, so it's not as if I'm um saying that I'm not responsible for that. But at the same time, I think the anger of it is probably what would have surprised me the most. Especially reading the chat log was
Why did that
infuriating.
surprise you? Because
Well,
you're
because at the beginning, it was truly just like, "Hey, we're gonna pretend like we're Casey and we're gonna we're gonna see what happens," and it takes off into this crazy world, so it was surprising in that element because I never imagined that it would have gotten to that point, talking to him about something as serious as the chat log or his other victims or his mentality toward victims, um, in his own mentality of being a victim for
Hmm.
everything,
Hmm.
so um, that was probably the biggest thing that jumps out at me. It didn't affect me in the sense that I still worked full time. I still had my home life. I had my friends. I had, my real life was still all happening. So nothing suffered, in that regard. Um, but I
You
think it
begged
was
out a
just
lot, though. You begged out a
huh?
lot. You were swimming with polar bears. You were on cruises. Anything to avoid
Right.
talking to the guy. You know.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was funny because when Debbie moves to Florida, she barely had time to talk to Lauren. She was always hanging out with Angelo down at the boat, be like, "Oh yeah, I'm at the beach today. It's really windy. Can't talk. Bye."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I would say probably that the anger part of it affected me the most because I don't want to be pissed off, you know. And
Right.
it's like, well, I wouldn't be pissed off if I didn't talk to him. So why am I doing that?
Did you think you were getting somewhere with him? Because obviously there was a time, for whatever reason, and we've been over this before, like you were trying to get him to see the truth.
Mhm.
It seemed, and we were all listening, thinking she's finally cracked it. Oh my god, you know, um, she's taking him through it bit by bit in very simple steps so that he can grasp it, and he seemed to be making progress. And then we get the revelation. Well, it was because I couldn't say no or whatever he fucking said at the end of
Mhm.
it. Did you feel? Obviously, because you were shouting at him, calling him a pedo, but
Uh-huh.
was there a genuine point of thought? Oh, I'm getting somewhere here. Because we like challenges as humans. We like challenges. We like to do things that I'm good at whatever it might be. So was there an element of that?
I didn't really know. I mean, honestly, because I mean, how I'm not a professional at all, when it comes to dealing with a sex offender or what their thought process is or, any of that. So it's I'm just talking, and if it's something that makes sense for him, then fine. Um, but I think it's pretty amazing when you're speaking to somebody and you get to the end of it and it sounds like they're understanding what you're saying. but they're actually not. Um, so it's pretty much just a waste of time, basically. But so did I think I was getting somewhere? I mean, he was listening. He was hanging in there, so he was listening to whatever I was saying. But
In the
there's
moment. That's it.
no, yeah, there's no real understanding. There's no absorption of that, because in order for that to happen, he would really have to break down his walls.
That
And
bit was
the walls
funny
that he has.
where you go,
Mhm.
that guy, you're like, why didn't you go after that boy? A boy? Because he was a boy. Well, that blows that theory out of the water.
The boy.
Yeah.
The boy.
Classic moment.
I know.
The
All
meeting
of
at
his,
the fair.
the
The
meeting
meeting at
at
the
the
fair was
fair.
a perfect
Mhm.
example of that. You're going through that they are planning to meet at the fair just by being there, both of them being there, regardless of whether or not they were going to speak. That is a meeting. And he
Oh
just
God.
could not grasp that. We
Oh
were
God.
meeting by sight.
I would
We
have
were
lost it.
conversing by sight. Yeah, he
Oh my
did
God.
not
I
get it.
know. I
That
know.
whole conversation took 15 minutes.
Hmm.
It was. You were trying to explain. He's going to believe what he wants to believe. Tiffany, I
And he
have a.
That's
still
the
didn't concede.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. He'll never ever admit it ever.
And he attaches meanings to words that don't apply. Like we know
Hmm.
he doesn't know what anxious means. He calls
Hmm.
the storage bin the metal shed.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't make it any less of a. It's escaping me what it is. I'm sorry.
It's
Um,
not even a storage shed. It's a shipping container.
Shipping container, right? Instead of saying shipping container, which sounds bad, he just he says it's a metal shed, and he's kind of right about that. But then he starts throwing
Mhm.
words around that he doesn't that he uses that just he decides this is the definition I'm going to use, and if the rest of the world doesn't agree with it, and it's tough shit on them.
Mhm.
It's like when he talks, he does his was and were and his past, the way his grammar is. What I
Mhm.
don't give a fuck. People don't like that. He doesn't understand. Well, guess what? Try to get a job like that. Go to a job interview and talk like that. I
It's
mean,
so
you don't understand.
frustrating, isn't it? Like these little
Yeah.
things that you've explained. You know what pisses me off is in my top 10 pissed off moments of things that Lorne's done is the dedications bit in the book he wrote in Taking Abroad. It's like, even before we'd started the book, I was seething with rage. I don't know of any situation where somebody who isn't even an author could do that to someone. Just like, I dedicate this to my brother who didn't make
Yeah.
it, and to my mother
Yeah.
who's gone through hell. And I remember Amanda James saying it
So
as we were
tough,
going
isn't
through
it?
it. Yeah, and it was you
So
that did
tough.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's enraging. Yeah. So to have him on the phone, it brings it all right to the surface.
Imagine it. Can I know you were playing a character, obviously, because you're not really like Tiffany or Debbie. Excuse me, Tiffany, Devaney, or Casey. Excuse me. Those are your three
Debony.
characters you played, right? Tiffany, Debbie, and Casey. Those are the three characters, right? That you played. Did you play any other characters? I don't know, but anyway.
No, not that I
But
know
did it
of.
ever bother you from a personal standpoint that he thought that you were attracted to him? I mean, did you ever why
That
he?
personally, no, it's because it wasn't a personal thing,
Right.
So no.
Not
I
even
think
on any
I think
level?
if you well, I think to say it would be to say that anyone's attracted to him, because you wouldn't want him to think that anyone's attracted to him. So it's not for me personally, it's just anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And how much did he actually see of you?
Nothing.
I mean, there were pictures sent, but what did he look at? What did he see? I know there was a couch cushion or something as a camel.
No, yeah, that was something else. There was a camel toe. I don't know where that came from. I think that came from Winnie. Um, and then there was a picture that was used for the chat log readings when they were being uploaded to that channel that he knew about.
Mhm.
So they had a picture there that was just some blonde woman.
Oh, jumping on his butt or something?
Oh, there was that. Yeah, that was a picture somebody made, but then for the actual thumbnail, it had a picture of him and I think this blonde woman.
So he wasn't working with much. I mean, you hardly gave him any time,
No.
and he had no idea what you looked like visually. He just loved your voice.
He did, and he creates he has this whole fantasy world in his head that he lives in. That's why he's able to go through all of this, and that's why he's been able to do this for years. If you think about it, he's been catfished for over 20 years,
Right. Right.
by
As long
various
as the
people.
internet's been out, I'd go back further than that. As long as he's had a computer, he's been catfished.
Right, exactly. So,
Yeah.
and his real life is so shitty, and it's so empty, and there's nothing good about it. So, in order for him to feel like he has friends or some type of a photo of a social life, a relationship, he lives in this world where somebody's his girlfriend, or he has these friends that he can call or text. It's crazy.
Who was he talking to that time when he was explaining who his real friends were? And his real friends were Winnie and Emma or something. It was so funny.
Yeah,
that.
I forget.
I
I
think he
forget
might
who
have
was
been
talking
talking
to.
to you,
Yeah,
actually.
he. I
It
don't.
was
He
Debbie.
could have been. Okay, yeah. So he's talking
I
about
knew you'd
Dan
know
and
Amanda James.
Amanda James.
Yeah, I remember that call very well. Debbie was trying to sort of counsel him on why he goes to Tony's to drink, because he's like, I don't know why I do that. I don't even want to do it. And Debbie's like, well, because you're lonely. You don't have any friends. So you go over to Tony's, even though Tony's not really your friend. You just want to socialize. Yeah, and there was a point where Debbie said, you don't have any friends. And he kind of took offense to that and said, I have real friends. I have you and Dan and Emma and Winnie. And Debbie's like, yeah, but real friends, people who actually exist, stupid.
Which, of course, he thought they did at that point.
Oh, for
Right.
sure. Yeah, those were definitely his friends. Yeah. Hello? Oh, there
Hello?
you are.
Are we-
I thought we just got.
I had my mute button on.
Sorry.
I was chatting then, and then
Oh,
it
you
kind of.
did?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
thought maybe
silly.
I was disconnected. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that of all the people that he's spoken to, when he talks about Winnie, I think I might have mentioned this before. I'm not sure if we've all had a chance to agree or disagree with me. I think one of the reasons why he was so engrossed in the Winnie situation, and he said it was his greatest love or whatever, is because she was on his level, or he felt superior to her in some way. Or not superior, but like he had the upper hand, because he was almost like, the limited information I've got from not listening to all of it is a lot of the time he was kind of trying to look out for her because she was a drug addict, and that made him feel in some form of authoritative position, whereas he was always on the back foot in the other relationships.
I
I
agree
could
with
be
that.
missing something though.
I think it's a little more. I think it's even more simple than that. I think the fact that, as far as I'm aware, as far as I can remember, I think Winnie's the only person that told him that she loved him. I don't know of any other catfish that did. Tiffany, did you, by any chance? Did you
I
let
bet
that?
not.
That
You
Winnie
loved
was the.
that you loved him. I mean,
No, I
I'm not talking about the times where he would say, "And I know you love me," and then you would either have to confirm or deny. But
right.
I'm not talking about that. But how many times I've heard Winnie say, "I love you" hundreds of times.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, she definitely was the one who said it explicitly. I think the first Casey may have said it once or twice.
Ramona made
Um,
it a point to let him know that she didn't love him,
yeah. hmm
and I think you did too.
Yeah. Yeah, there were times when that would happen because
So it makes sense that Winnie would be the person, right?
yeah, exactly. And they also spent the most time together. She was on the phone with him all the time, and he's going to look back on that fondly, even though it was 98% abusive. toward
Yeah.
him. You know, she's just laughing at him and making fun of him.
Yeah.
Well, and he loved the fact that after him and Winnie ended and he started trying to pursue Debbie, Winnie was still in love with him. And she
Yes.
would try to make
Right.
Will act like Lorne because Lorne is the one she really wanted.
It
Right.
looked like him too. She made him shave his head with Lauren's
Right.
haircut.
Yes, she
Yeah.
made him get the Lorne haircut. She made him bend his penis in half so it was the same size as Lorne's. Made him say "good" and "you" during intimate moments. And he loved that. He loved that
Poor
somebody
Will.
was obsessing over him and
I know.
crying over him and wishing they could have him because that was Lauren's position all the time.
Hmm.
So I think that's why he says Winnie is his, favorite, I guess, or his best relationship because she was as obsessive as he is.
Yeah.
Well, he would even use her as a reference, like to Tiffany. He would say something like, ask Winnie about me, or
Hmm.
find out how Winnie felt about me. Ask her. Like somehow this crazy woman who defecates everywhere is, that is going to vouch for somebody that's going to mean something. It's funny. But anyway.
Why did you start listening to the Jeffrey call just out of interest, Amanda James? Is it in your top 5, or did you just? Because it's usually my go-to, that call.
I don't even know. My YouTube feed or whatever you call it is all just Lorne stuff.
No.
So I just turned on I just turned on the next, recommended or whatever popped up. I don't think it was just the call. I think somebody was streaming it. It might have been Wes or it might have been Reborn. I don't know. Somebody had done a stream on it and I was re-listening to that. So that's why. I just had it in my ear while I was getting ready for work and on my way to work. I actually don't revisit that one enough. I don't know why. It's very funny.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I actually, I'm not sure if I've asked you this question. Which are your favorite? Not call, but which is your favorite Catfish for entertainment?
For entertainment,
It's kind of a tough one because I would say there's 2 for me.
Oh.
There's Winnie.
Yeah.
Because she drove him insane, and there were so many of these scenarios that were so funny to me.
Well, she was
like
also
the airport one, for example.
Yeah.
Well, that one was before Winnie.
But the thing about the Winnie calls is Lorne would go crazy, but at the same time, Winnie would say the funniest shit.
Yeah, Winnie and Dan, and they would really drive him crazy. And then Jamie.
Yeah.
Robot Jamie just
it's amazing.
Cracks me up. Yeah. One of the early calls, when it was prior to when it became the male voice and it was a female robot, it didn't feel right. I was like, this isn't Jamie. Where is Jamie?
Winnie's the funniest. I like listening to. I really like Casey.
Me too.
I think she's funny. I like how she confronts Lorne with everything that I've ever wanted to confront him with. Really, she makes them listen to the fight between him and Lorne. I love that. I mean, him and Roy, and I loved that. I really like listening to Ramona calls too. Ramona's not my favorite Catfish. She's definitely not the most entertaining, but Lorne is amazing during the Ramona stuff.
100%. Because he's drunk, I think, as well, a lot of the time. I like the Casey stuff. One of the recent ones.
I put Casey in the same category as Tiffany.
Me too.
Getting down to real business and, not fucking around. Blue Boy actually had more restrictions. Like he couldn't sing. That helped a lot. And they didn't have phone sex. That helped a lot. Tiffany, you had to do that once in a while. I understand that, and Dan took over. But still.
Oh, that was before. That was the first Casey Debbie didn't do
Yeah,
that.
but when it came down to, deep diving into this guy's brain, you and Blue Boy were fantastic. That's
I
what we.
like the singing. I don't understand why people don't like the singing. I think it's so
Everybody likes
funny.
the
It
singing.
is funny. He's off
Everybody.
key. He's off tune. Like he'll be singing a good 2 or 3 seconds behind the music when there's like the radio in the background. I like
Yeah.
the singing too. It's funny.
Yeah.
I think the robot thing is funny for a number of reasons. Is that it's a robot, it's a male robot. There's no tone, so he can read into it what he wants, and that produces some hilarious results. And it's just and all as this is going on, it's not what's happened is I'm listening to it and it's been normalized. You wouldn't believe how many times I've had to pull up at McDonald's for a black coffee or whatever. I don't know why I had to say the drink. That's what I take most. But I'm pulling up there and I've got a robot call on. I can't even. I forget to turn it down at the order box. Can you imagine what they're thinking when they hear that? Just some guy talking to a robot. But it's not a normal conversation. Like, so it's really embarrassing because sometimes I forget to turn it down. But when you're listening to it, for all us weirdos, it's normalized. You have to remind yourself that this guy is that fucking stupid. He's talking to a robot after being catfished for the previous 15 years. And that makes it even funnier. So all the little nuances and the little innuendos and the crazy I'm typing and all this crazy shit, it makes it even funnier. It's so brilliant. I don't think even the shit robot calls, because there's obviously somewhere not a lot happens. We like the ones where he's raging. The Rod call, the Jeffrey call. We like
James.
Even though I don't, I've always sort of questioned the catfishing and had conversations about it, and I'm kind of go down that road. There is a part of me when I'm listening to it thinking, I want this guy to be psychologically fucking destroyed as I'm listening to it. I want you to go further. I want you to tell him the worst. That's the cruel, sadistic part of me. I don't know why it exists, but there's a little part of them. It goes, I want this motherfucker destroyed, like his brain explodes or something. I can't explain it. I've really got to do some soul searching to understand why that's there. And then it happens. His brain explodes when he enrages, like, the famous Rod explosion. The Jeffrey. There was never with the
Sober,
Jeffrey call.
Sober. He's sober too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The robot takes some beating, in my opinion. It really does.
I don't think the robot would have lasted as long if it wasn't for those beautiful images of a beautiful woman that kept sending him. I mean, I think he got posters of him, and he had that to support him. Like if he was left in the dark, didn't know what she looked like, maybe he wouldn't have had as much interest. But I think again, everything's about getting the arm candy, getting the most beautiful woman in the world, making guys jealous more than anything else. That's his big thing. But I think those pictures went a long way on that one. And then what he did with those pictures is just hilarious. Just
Oh, I know.
going into Walmart, and having them taken, and who doesn't think that everyone in Walmart knows who he is now, other than the new employees who will get cued in later, but the managers, the assistant managers, the Photoshop guys, or the copy center guys, wherever he goes. I'd love to get footage of Walmart security footage when it comes.
Yes, definitely. That's his girlfriend.
I would like the complete recordings of every conversation he's had with probation, where they're warning him and saying, "Lorne, these people are not real." Like, what was that one we mentioned on the last stream we did, where he says, "Probation keep busting my balls," or something. What was he fucking said? They keep shooting the mouth off. It's just so funny. It's like, yes, Lorne, they're telling you that the robot isn't real. They're shooting the mouth off. It's so funny. It's like, I'd love to hear those conversations. I'd use my voucher, my time traveling voucher on that. I think
that's where I wanted to go with this. Can we talk about time?
We've got to go in 5 minutes, so be quick.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking, why don't we all go around and even people can comment where they would use their time twice. You only get 2 times with all that we know, all the way back to Lorne, even going back to his childhood if you want.
Dude, we've got 5 minutes. I could turn that into an entire stream.
Oh, okay. All right. I got too lofty on that. Sorry about that.
Well, we can have a
great question, though.
It is.
Yeah, we should have a stream on that, actually. I think you're right.
Yeah. So I have a short thing if you guys just want to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Lorne made out with those posters?
Yeah.
Did he put a hole in one of them?
He danced with a pillow, Tiffany.
He did. So do you think that he kissed the Jamie poster and used tongue? I'm going to say yes.
Well, I would say, but he did something else to those pictures.
I think he put a hole someplace in those pictures.
Well, I believe I could be just making this up in my head, but I am fairly certain that he jerked off on one of those pictures, like on her poor face. No, he definitely did. I think he sent a picture of it too. That poor model.
Yeah, I know, right?
So maybe he kissed the other one because he did have several posters. But yeah, I would not be surprised at all if he made out. I wouldn't be surprised if he slept with it.
I believe that he's probably got saliva on his monitor back in Bowling Green.
Oh, so you think he was making out with Kayla too?
Everything, yeah. Stared at her picture.
Everything,
I've never thought of that before.
You got to move in, She's looking at me. I'm looking at her for an hour. Didn't realize. No doubt.
I love that. That's so funny.
It sure is. And on that note, maybe, I mean, we've still got quite a lot to do. We've still got the, I was going through talking about, I mean, we've done a lot of it in this stream, but we were talking about each of the catfishes and what they meant to Lorne and breaking down the dynamics of the relationship, but we've covered a lot of it here. But as well as that, I'd like to do what Shin suggested. And maybe we can try and do that before Lorne's Day, because I don't think we're all available on Lorne's Day. I will be doing something, but it might just be me and Shin and Adam, because the other two, you might be working. We'll have to see anyway. But yeah, I think that's a great idea, that. But trying to cram that into 5 minutes, dude, that was very naive of you.
It'll be really cool if people in the comments put their time token moments too.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that'll be fun, because we could discuss them, and it'd be interesting to see. We can give people time at the beginning of the stream. And we can also, because there's such a lofted kind of history to him, well, not, there's so many interesting parts that we could go to that would be funny or interesting. I think we get a lot of different answers. So I think that'd be really cool. So anyway, I'm gonna have to. It's a little bit later than it usually is here. So as it is where you are, of course. Not that time's different anywhere else, but it's getting late here, so we're gonna have to wrap it up. So thanks for everybody. We've had quite a lot of people in today. I think everybody is in full Lorne mode, with it being the day of Lorne to what, we on 20 or something. Something like that. Yeah. So thank you to Amanda, James, and Tiffany, and Shin. Thanks for coming, guys, and having a Lorne laugh thing with us.
Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, we'll all be back soon. So thanks everybody for joining in. Thank you for your contributions. Please leave any comments. And if you're watching it retrospectively, please comment anything that you've not managed to do in the live stream. That'd be really cool. So take care of yourself.